Hi, welcome everybody. I go by West, and this is one of our Sharing the Path salon conversations, hosted by Temple of the Open Heart. And I'm one of our facilitators, and my friend Kent will also be facilitating this call. And I will also be one of the presenters this evening, and my friend Lou will be another presenter. And our topic tonight is the discipline of the personality. And we'll get into that more in a couple minutes. But first, just a little context of our time together. So we like to honor everyone's time, and so we've got a 90-minute container set out, and we like to aim to end or at least wrap up pretty well by 90 minutes. So those of you who are ready to pop off, there's an easy exit. So we'll aim to do that. And I'm giving a little bit of the overview, and I'm going to give some culture pieces. And then Kent is going to give a little bio of me and Lou. Then we'll get into the presentation. Lou and I will present our ideas, and then we'll open it up for conversation around what we presented and your ideas on the topic of the discipline of the personality. So there's the overview. Okay, so now the culture that we like to co-create. So we are, with this series, the Sharing the Path series, we are cultivating co-creatorship in lots of different ways. So it's a practice. This is intended to be a shared practice of discourse, of hearing one another, of speaking from our truth, and practicing, learn teaching, and teach learning together, and sharing the path of the open heart. So we have a few invitations of what might be some helpful ways of being with one another towards that intention. So first, the invitation is to connect to the self. So what is the self? Get in touch with the self and connect there first, so that when we speak, it can be from our own truth, our own direct experience, our own humble path. And from that self-connection, that can automatically, facilitate connection with other self, right? Going in can facilitate the apparent connection over there. And then as we connect over there, one of the invitations is to listen to others for resonance, listen for truth. Where is what's being shared out there pinging off of my own experience? Like, yes, I resonate with that. Where's their overlap? And then, of course, where there isn't overlap, we make space for that too. We're honoring varying perspectives. We're not all necessarily needing to leave here agreeing, okay, this is what Ra meant. Absolutely. Period. End of sentence, right? Um, we're not trying to convince one another that we can leave here, and there's beauty, even in leaving here, not necessarily all finding the same conclusion. There may be pieces that resonate for me that resonate differently for Neely or for Carolyn or for Diana. And that's beautiful. So we take what resonates for us and um, let the other fall away and make space for make space for different perspectives. So those are some suggestions of how to cultivate this culture together. So let's now drop into a prayer, and Lou is gonna Lead us in a prayer.
Beloved Creator, we gather here in humility, in sincerity, and in openness of heart. We ask that this space be blessed with clarity, truth, and love. May whatever is shared be here in service to recognition, the recognition of who we truly are, beneath fear, beneath separation, beneath illusion. May we come to know ourselves more deeply, to accept ourselves more fully, and to open to the living presence of the one within all things. May this gathering be guided by wisdom, softened by compassion, and protected in the light of what is good, true, and aligned. Help us listen not only with the mind, but with the heart. Help us receive not only words, but the deeper resonance beneath them. And may each of us leave more rooted in love, more anchored in truth, and more willing to become a conscious expression of the Creator in this world. We offer this time, this space, and ourselves to the highest good. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Hello. All right, so I'm going to introduce West and Lou. I'm going to start with a timeline. So in 2015, West's partner, Aaron, found the Law 1 material and got very excited about it. And then he forced West to read it. No, I'm kidding. He didn't force her, but she didn't get into it. She didn't get into it as excitedly as he did in the beginning, but then eventually she did. And in 2016, they started a Law 1 study group in the Asheville area. And Gary, Austin, and Jim came to the first study group sessions, which must have been exciting. I wish I would have been there. In 2018, the local Asheville Law 1 group organized the first coming home retreat in the Asheville area. So that's how the coming home retreats began. And then in 2020 is when I first joined the group, and I met West and Aaron, which was very exciting in their home. I came to their Law 1 study group. And then in 2022, they took a break in the coming home events because of COVID in 2020 and 2021. And 2022,
We
I
actually
went to
had
the
an
first.
online gathering in
Oh, you did? Okay.
2020. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You
Okay.
know, as well as that works, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I went to my first coming home in 2022, which was an in-person event. And that's where I met Lou for the first time. That was his first event too. And my first impression of Lou was that he was a person that was authentic, really authentic. I could tell that right away when I met him. And to me, that's like authenticity is like, there's probably no quality I admire more in a person than authenticity. So yeah, I took a liking to Lou right away. And so let me go into some personal details about them. West grew up in Mississippi. She went to high school in Berkeley, California. And she has unofficially worked as a counselor with the Baron Katie method of self-inquiry for about 10 years. And now she's going to grad school to study for a master's degree in mental health as a mental health counselor. And I know she's going to be a great counselor. Whenever I hear her take on any subject like the Law 1 material, she always sees things that I don't see. And she's always able to, look into things in depth and penetrate to truths and see angles that I'm not seeing. So she's one of my greatest teachers. And I really love and appreciate her for that. And I'm going to read something here. So her path has been deeply shaped by strong emotional sensitivity and an attentiveness to the subtle dynamics between people, qualities that have been both a blessing and a hurdle throughout her life. They've also opened the door to a rich inner world that drew her naturally into meditation and self-inquiry, which remain her primary spiritual practices today. Through them, she continues exploring the nature of mind, freedom, and what it means to live from clarity and compassion. She feels called to align her life with what brings more understanding, love, and wholeness into the world. Her path is guided by a deep trust in our innate freedom from suffering and a dedication to embodying unconditional love as best she can. And so Lou, as I said, I met Lou first in 2022 at the Coming Home retreat. I have since seen him in Philadelphia in 2023 and last year in Colorado. And it's always great to, whenever he is at one of the retreats. Lou lived most of his life in Philadelphia. He's now in the process of moving to Charlotte, North Carolina, to be with his partner, Iman. And that's an amazing story of synchronicity. If you ever meet him, you should have him tell you that story. I always love hearing it. It's so inspirational. And I'm going to read something now about Lou that he put together. So Lou, he walked a path of inner, no, is that the one? Yeah. He walked a path of inner transformation shaped by direct encounters with oneness, yogic practices, meditation, contemplation, catalysts, community, ritual, and initiatory experiences that have revealed deeper layers of soul memory, purpose, and spiritual identity. He has come to understand awakening not as becoming something new, but as recognizing who he ultimately is, eternally, the Creator, knowing itself through this human life. And in this presentation, he intends to speak from lived experience, weaving together mysticism, embodiment, and the universal call to awaken. He invites others to turn inward, know themselves deeply, accept themselves fully, and step into a more conscious relationship with the Creator. And so with that, I will leave the floor to West and Lou.
Thanks, Kent.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is the second time that Lou and I have offered this presentation. The first was at the event in Colorado that Kent referred to last year. I proposed to Lou that we have this conversation. I have shared some spaces with Lou where I've experienced shared reality in terms of how we understand self-realization and the path of meditation, and I presented to him. So Lou, this is what I think. Basically, this is my understanding of what Rob meant by know yourself, accept yourself, become the creator. Does this resonate with you? Is that how you see it too? And then he was like, yeah, that's basically how I see it too. And I was like, how about we have an offering together at the event in Colorado where we say this is what we think, and then we offer some quotes, some perspectives that kind of like reflect that or kind of support that view. And then we open it up to the group and say, what do you think? So that's what we did in Colorado, and it was a really beautiful conversation. And so yeah, now not quite a year later, we're doing it again. You want to say anything, Lou?
Yeah, I guess the one thing I'll add is just in kind of I think part of what came kind of synchronistically happened that led to kind of us having the conversation as well was being in the Ramana Maharshi study group. And I don't remember what the quote was, but there was a Ramana Maharshi quote that struck me because it had this kind of like infinite depth that could be approached from many different angles on the path, from the individualized small self to the large self, and that kind of infinitude of interpretation that kind of transcends duality. There's like a universal coherence to the quote that I felt that brought up the quote for me, know yourself, accept yourself, become the creator. So, and it kind of brought this like, I had this almost like spiritual experience of like kind of catching the light of the divine in the depth of the quote. And I got really excited about it. I think after that, West kind of reached out to me to kind of further the conversation that led to all of this. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the basic kind of the simple way of saying what we agreed on was the first part of those three parts, know yourself. I was like, so I think what Ra's pointing to is know sort of the capital S self, know the essential self, the true self, know what you are. And then the second part, accept yourself, is accept what could be seen as the small s self, the illusory self, kind of go back. So you start with the big picture in a way, and then you go back to the sort of more distorted view, and like work on the sort of forgiveness, the acceptance, the loving, the understanding, of the small s self, and that's kind of the path that leads us to becoming the creator. And he was like, yeah, I'm vibe with that. So yeah, now we're going to share uh, the quotes, some of the quotes that we have chosen that support this view. And after we finish that round, we'll open it up for discussion. Oh, you're muted.
sorry about that. Everyone can see this all right?
Yeah.
All right, great. Um, I guess the one thing I just want to add before we go into the quotes, kind of relating to know yourself, accept yourself, become the creator. What was coming up for me as Wes was kind of sharing the interpretation that we had really resonated with is there's like this beautiful um, phrase in the raw material that really struck out to me. It's called it was tone poem, and kind of like balancing. I don't remember the exact full quote, but the just like the concept of balancing our unique tone poem really speaks to me as far as like accept yourself. So I just wanted to share that as you were talking, that popped up for me. I just love that phrase and how it kind of encapsulates just expressing our authentic self and kind of going through that process of being able to express our authentic tone poem and that to have the creator kind of flow through us in a most unobstructed way. So just wanted to add that, and now we'll start getting into the quotes. So of course, here's the quote that kind of inspired all of this. I am Ra. The heart of the discipline of the personality is threefold. One, know yourself. Two, accept yourself. Three, become the creator. And so for this first know yourself quote, it's when we love, we see the infinite in the finite. We find the creator in the creation by Eliphas Levi. And for me, as far as knowing ourselves as the creator, being able to have these moments where we experience the divine through the creation, gaze at the creation, see the creator. And being able to find there's so many ways that we can do that through beauty, through falling in love, through our friendships, through service, through just experiencing the miracle of creation and the synchronicities that come with that, and being able to see that the whole, as above, so below, that we can find the creator that's beyond manifestation within the beauty of the manifestation.
Thanks. So our next quote from Sri Sadguru Siddharameshwar Maharaj. I am always without attributes. Attributes are not my true nature. Upon realizing this, I truly become attribute-less. The real purpose of life is found. So to me, this resonates in terms of, I think what we essentially are is unchanging, right? Anything that appears to be me that changes, how could that be essentially me? If it's still me, it's me, but it's this, and then it's me, but it's that. How could that be me? Right? If you think about if something is the same thing, how could it change? Philosophically, but there's something just really true to me about what I essentially am is always what I am in essence. So any attributes, any qualities that come and go are not my nature. And I feel like we have the free will to appear in so many different ways, and those are the attributes. Those are the changing qualities. And our true nature, in a way, appears more transparent, and it can fall to the background. In that way, we have the free will to ignore it or to remain ignorant of our true nature. But when there's a realization of oh, what it is that I am essentially doesn't change. And what is that? For me, the background can kind of come forward. And in my experience, I've felt a realization of what had been previously sort of transparent or hidden. Your turn.
So next quote for Know Yourself. We begin to see this world in the light of self-knowledge. It becomes very clear that we are not really that which appears to be real to us. You realize that yourself exists prior to the appearance of consciousness and also after its disappearance, by Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. I think this quote has some resonance to the prior quote that Wes just read. And I think that prior quote was by the guru of Nisargadatta as well. So it kind of makes sense that this one's kind of along the same line of, just for me, what comes up is my relationship to the self that, again, has has an element that's just beyond manifestation, and that's beyond my personal consciousness. I know that my personal consciousness that's coming in contact with kind of dualistic reality and a subject-object relationship, and knowing that my true identity, my true self is beyond that. It's totally beyond what I'm experiencing. I can see reflections. I can see the divine in, what I was describing earlier in beauty. Yet the pure awareness, the pure infinite awareness of which is the creator, is ultimately beyond the relative reality of the conscious experience in order, through the creator to experience itself.
What we're looking for is where we're looking from. St. Francis. So yeah, I mean, the simplicity of this one is just so potent. And so again, what it means to me is like the sort of safety, security, happiness that we're always looking for, that we, kind of seek out there in the apparent external, eventually shows itself to be, hollow or not long lasting or illusory. And all of that we're looking for can be found when we sit in a self-referral place, when we connect with the self. And for me, like that's again, that step of like know yourself is in a way, the way that I feel it and accept or work with it is like kind of the first step of the adept journey. So what we're looking for is where we're looking from. Sit there, and then it changes whatever we're looking at, experiencing out there.
So now we're going to go into accept yourself. Starting with a raw quote here. The indigo ray is opened only through considerable discipline and practice, largely having to do with acceptance of self, not only as the polarized and balanced self, but as the creator, as an entity of infinite worth. This will begin to activate the indigo ray. This is one of my favorite quotes, not only in the raw material, just one of my favorite spiritual quotes. It says so much about kind of what I was describing earlier, of what the know yourself, accept yourself, become the creator means with the tone poem. Being able to balance the two of, our individualized self with all of our distortion, with the fact that we are this infinite, perfected being beyond manifestation. And that is quite the art, quite the work to continue deeper balancing of each of our unique tone poems of expression. And so this quote really speaks to me around, what's coming up for me right now is the lower chakra balancing work, being able to hold, knowing, having a recognition of being the creator while we're, dealing with, when we go out of balance and dealing with the distortions of the individualized self, of, a fear or a perceived limitation or a false belief that, I'm hanging on to, and then being able to balance that with love and compassion, or love and wisdom, and being able to start this kind of this, I like the Yogananda kind of refers to it as the divine romance of kind of, balancing these two so that we can transcend.
Thanks. Byron Katie. She's my homie, one of my main teachers. Love annihilates everything that is not itself. So yeah, what that means for me in the context of accept yourself. So a framework that that I work within and that resonates a lot for me is the internal family systems framework, IFS. And it's basically a self-healing or psychotherapy model that evolved through primarily one man's kind of research into what was supportive to his clients, and he came to see that what seemed to be super true, but also really helpful and transformative, was that within each of us we have sort of a multiplicity of selves. There's a part of me that took on a story when I was really young that, I'm not good enough, for instance. And then there's a part of me that feels better than everyone, and so like, oh, these are opposite, but also they both exist within me. And sometimes this one's alive and sometimes this one's alive. Um, and and so those are apparent multiplicity, but also at the same time, there's a whole self, which in IFS they do refer to the capital S self that never gets split into these apparent parts that can facilitate the healing of these parts. And so they can be welcomed back into the wholeness. And I don't need to take the perspective of either of these parts. And so love, back to the quote, love annihilates everything that is not itself. So the self, the capital S self, that the wholeness that I am, can welcome either of these parts and sit with them and say, tell me what hurts. And I love you and you're welcome to be here and you don't ever have to change or fix or, heal yourself. You're welcome the way that you are. And that act of welcoming supports those parts, paradoxically to let go of their hurt story. And so, yeah, it's my experience that in the acceptance of all of what seems to not be love, what isn't love falls away on its own.
For the next quote by Ram Dass, the cause of suffering has to do with the clinging of mind, and that the things you cling to are attractions or aversions. And the thing I was clinging to was an aversion of me as a human being. My predicament was that I was trying to get high rather than trying to become free. And I looked at life and realized I had to embrace my humanity into my being. This is one of my favorite quotes ever. I think it really speaks to maybe my own experience of times when, I think I've, to be open, there's been times in my life where I've maybe gotten into this particular trap of kind of like spiritual bypassing in a way, like really trying to connect with the creator in a way where, I realized I was maybe not, facing my full shadow or full pain that, and in like embracing those elements of me, treating myself and others with forgiveness and love of parts of me that I was in an aversion to. It's like at that point, I felt like for me, that's just obviously, the shadow work that Jung talks about of how, when we can balance these elements of ourselves, that's really where the freedom lies, not in kind of like escaping, my individualized life so that I can just go, I'm merging with the creator. I have a deep respect for, the direct path of communing with the creator, and believe that at any time, we are the creator at all times. And that includes our shadow, our shadow is the creator as well. And having a more balanced relationship with that as we can further crystallize our beings, so that we can love more truly. We can live in deeper authenticity and honesty. So I really love how this quote and accept yourself just demonstrates that balance of accepting our individualized self and not, not trying to get high, as Ram Dass would say, but embracing it. And that is like, it's like the paradox of, I'm embracing the elements of my individual self that I have maybe an aversion to. And in that process, I'm attuning more to the larger S self.
So relevant. Speaks to my life right now. Okay, so this next one is from Rumi. And yeah, it's just kind of more of the same. And I feel like I don't even necessarily need a lot of commentary. So I might just read this and let Rumi speak for himself about accept yourself. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Yep, I'll leave it as it is.
So now we're going to go into become the creator and start with another Ra quote, and of which inspired this entire presentation. I am Ra, that the heart of the discipline of the personality is threefold. 1, know yourself. 2, accept yourself. 3, become the creator. The third step is that step which, when accomplished, renders one the most humble servant of all, transparent in personality, and completely able to know and accept other selves. In relation to the pursuit of the magical working, the continuing discipline of the personality involves the adept in knowing itself, accepting itself, and thus clearing the path towards the great indigo gateway to the creator. To become the creator is to become all that there is. There is then no personality in the sense with which the adept begins its learned teaching. As the consciousness of the indigo ray becomes more crystalline, more work may be done. More may be expressed from intelligent infinity. What's coming up for me right now with this is, I guess it's another rock quote, that the crystallized healer has no will. And I think it's kind of like when, I think this quote just really deeply speaks to when we do, know ourselves and accept ourselves, and to a sufficient enough degree, then, our chakras are balanced. Our unique tone poem is expressing itself in the way it's meant to. It's in its, I guess, highest purity and highest embodiment. Then the light of the creator will come through us as we become more crystalline. And the more that we do this, the more that the creator is going to work through us in a magical way that is beyond our conceptualization. Because we have intelligent infinity can flow through us in a more unobstructed way, again, from the distortions that come with being human.
Thanks. Okay, next a quote from Patanjali. The practice of yoga is the commitment to become established in the state of freedom. And supreme freedom is that complete liberation from the world of change that comes of knowing the unbounded self. Yeah, so this quote, so good for me. It really points to me to that, again, the knowing of the unbounded self. Like first know yourself. Know that what you are is limitless. Like, we can all have that experience in meditation of like, where is it that I end, or where we can know the unbounded self. And then through that knowing, there can be the work of, again, accepting what I had thought was myself, what I had thought was the bounded self, what I had thought was the finite self, the one that is contained to the body, the one that is thinking these limited thoughts, the one that has these beliefs, the one that had this past. And then through the work of accepting that, to me, that sort of works the gesture of knowing the self, working any kind of like resistance, anything that would prove to me or apparently prove to me that that's not who or what I am. And through that acceptance of the self, there's an automatic like mirror acceptance of other self. When this illusory self, when this finite self is accepted, there's like a dropping of resistance. There's no need to resist. There's no need to uh, resist other selves, because, like a lot of times what I find is like I resist another self, or I resist reality because I need to protect the body. If I think that the body is what I am, then I need to like defend, protect, like, no, don't talk to me that way. Or, there's war. I need to like protect my resources. I need to keep my food that will feed my body. Like there's a attachment to the world of change. Like, don't change, like keep my food where my food goes so that I can have enough for myself or whatever. And like knowing the unbounded self liberates us from the world of change. Like food comes and goes, nation states change, hurricanes come and go, and things change. And so we can be liberated from that world of change, and then be established in the state of freedom that is like the one body of the universe. Like that, maybe that is my body, like our body, the body. And like when we are creator, it's like, what is there to fight? It's like I'm all of it. I am the changing, I am the hurricane, I am the war, or the, yeah. I'm all of it appearing now.
So here's another Become the Creator quote. This one's by Alan Watts. To know that you are God is another way of saying that you feel completely one with this universe. You feel profoundly rooted in it and connected with it. You feel, in other words, that the whole energy which expresses itself in the galaxies is intimate. It is not something to which you are a stranger, but it is that with which you, whatever that is, are intimately bound up. That in your seeing, your hearing, your talking, your thinking, you're moving, you express that which it is that moves the sun and other stars. Think what's, this quote is interesting to me right at the moment because I feel like it's almost, I think Alan Watts is like articulating something here that is almost for me is like beyond kind of articulation in a way. When you have that experience, say you have a miraculous synchronicity occur where clearly there was a higher power or a higher intelligence at work where all these miraculous circumstances come together to bring you uh, exactly where you're supposed to be at exactly the right time. I think those experiences for me kind of remind me of or give me like the truth of how I kind of or comprehend this quote being one with the manifested universe when I'm kind of in a balanced or crystalline enough state, and then I feel like I'm in a flow state and I'm emptied out to a degree so that everything else can kind of like rush into me and I'm just in a flow. I'm in a loving present moment flow. And in that, I guess, quote unquote state, um, I think that kind of is coming up for me as when I hear Alan Watts just talk about how we're the same kind of force that is the force behind everything in everything.
So good. Okay, Rumi, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. When the soul is in alignment with its true essence, it radiates a divine light. This light is your aura, ever present, ever expanding, and always a reflection of your inner state. When you open yourself to love, your soul becomes the sun, and your aura mirrors its radiance, illuminating not only your path, but the world around you. Yeah. So, and for me, this is so resonant with the quote that Lou just shared too, the Alan Watts quote that like your soul becomes the sun. Like it also feels really parallel to me that with the Byron Katie quote that is like the way she says it is like self-inquiry puts us in touch with the kindness of the intelligence that directs everything. So like the kindness of the intelligence that directs the sun, like becoming the creator to me, if I know anything about it at all, which I may not, but it feels like to me knowing that intelligence and the kindness of that intelligence that's directing the sun and directing all of it is the same intelligence that is speaking through me and moving through me right now, and like to trust that, and then to allow that intelligence to be who and what I am, um, to me is, yeah, is another way of saying become the creator.
Okay, and this is the last quote for, and also includes become the creator, and quote by Jesus: "Unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." And I love a lot of Jesus quotes because they have so much depth and so little words, just like a lot of my favorite rock quotes. But what's coming up for me with this is the present moment contains love, and becoming balanced to the point that I can spontaneously be in a state of spontaneity in the present moment, in a state of love. um, that's when I feel like it's kind of like my will and thy will can kind of combine and become one, as the light of the creator can flows through us in through the force of love. And I think going back to like kind of that Ram Dass quote of the like the cause of suffering comes from the clinging of mind, of our attractions and aversions. When we can sufficiently balance ourselves through love and wisdom and forgiveness, we can kind of return to this childlike state of being blissfully present. And then the infinite force can come through us more cleanly.
Thanks, Lou. So I think let's just take a moment of silence to kind of be with all of that before we open it up for discussion. And again, I'll offer the reminder that, we can share, feel free to share, what resonated from what we presented. And also, you don't have to agree with us, if there's something that we shared that you're like, actually, I see it differently. It's very welcome. And we can open it up for discussion now.
Should we say, if you want to speak and somebody else is speaking and you want to speak, you can raise your hand and we will call on you.
Yeah, thanks. Helpful process point. Neely has her hand raised.
Yeah. Hi. First, I wanted to say thank you so much. Those were beautiful quotes. Some of them made me tear up. Just wonderful presentation. And it also kind of clarified for me. I was always thinking about know yourself, accept yourself, become the creator as the part that you put into accept yourself, I put into the know yourself. So I wasn't thinking know yourself as the creator, as who you really are. Um, and a lot of the ideas, I just wanted to quickly share a lot of the ideas that you guys expressed here so beautifully. Kind of received some of them in my altered states, in my meditations, or journeys. I'll just give you a couple examples. The first one about you exist prior and after the rise of consciousness. In a mushroom journey that I had, I literally had seen things come and go, and I sensed myself, my true self, as like a rod made out of like this golden light, and it had no end and no beginning, and everything that was happening kind of around it. So that really landed beautifully with me. The other thing, I wrote them down, so I'm looking down. The other thing is with regards to the mirroring effect of you are the creator. Like, what my sense is that the moment you seek it, it also seeks you. So it's kind of like touching your hand in the mirror. What you seek is also seeking you, and that also explains all the synchronicities and the things that are happening, that we are in the right place at the same time. It's because of that motion of I am seeking myself, in a sense. And the last one by Jesus, unless you become like little children, whenever I meditate and meet up with my higher self or my soul essence, it's always childlike and always pure, loving, filled with wonder and filled with curiosity. So that was really touching. I'm not a big, I don't know a lot of what Jesus taught people, but whenever I hear anything by Jesus, I'm like, whoa, profound. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Neely.
Linda and Maurice are next.
Well, I wanted to thank you for that the wonderful quotes that you picked. I was very pleased to see, matter of fact, that it did go beyond the quo and the raw stuff and got into Rumi. And, Jesus to me is a rock star. So, I mean, I really appreciated all of the quotes that you picked. I also am an MSW, Master in Social Work, have been my entire life. How do you reconcile? I know that you are a counselor. How can you reconcile doing therapy when you're supposed to be accepting the self?
Mm, yeah. Ooh, good one. Um, so my personal practice, my personal therapy is accepting myself. Like that is therapy to me. And so when I work with others, my practice is accepting the wholeness of the person in front of me, and inviting them into how seeing how who or what they are is already accepted. So I find that the transformation takes place by itself when acceptance happen. When it's like, oh, I am allowed to be exactly the way I am, as frustrated and irritated and angry and whatever it is that I am. Cool. Great. Now I don't need to be angry and frustrated and irritated anymore. I think a lot of the um a lot of the dilemmas that we find ourselves in come from trying to fix ourselves. And then we're resisting being fixed. So like, don't try to fix me. No, I don't want to, there's like a little inner battle. I'm like, oh, great. I'm allowed to be frustrated.
I see. So, in other words, you incorporate forgiveness and acceptance mostly as the part of their journey.
Yeah, I find that forgiveness happens on its own through understanding that whatever happened was welcome to happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I was lucky. I worked in a dialysis unit. So I never had to worry about doing in-depth therapy with people. I just sat there and found resources and basic counseling. So, you're
Yeah.
going at it, you're going in deep. Good for you.
Thanks. I'd love to talk with you more about it someday, Linda. Yeah.
Mm.
It's definitely, I'm very,
There.
very passionate about this and I can talk about it all day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great discussion. Thank you, Linda and West. Aaron is next.
Um, yeah, I just want to say thank you uh, for the presentation. Lou, I just want to say a special thank you to you for the prayer. Your opening prayer was just really, it landed really sweetly for me, and I found it very touching. So thank you for that. Um, so as I was kind of taking in the presentation, I found it very difficult actually, because I'm not sure if I misunderstood the way that you've depicted how you understand the first step that Ra gives, know yourself. I'm not sure that I got it right in terms of understanding what you were saying, but to me, um, I think I have understood it a bit differently than what I heard, and and I found it very difficult actually to purchase anything else that came after that because if we start with know yourself as the creator, um, y'all, I just want to say in a sort of humble way, like I don't have that experience very often. I don't have the experience of knowing myself as the creator very often. Like I experience it sometimes, and it's wonderful and amazing, transcendent actually. But if that's the first step, I feel like I'm disqualified from all of it. I feel like I just don't even fit in any of it. So then it became difficult for me to really have a purchase on anything that came after that. And so I'll just share what for me, the first step of know yourself, the way I translate that is more of like just take an accounting. Like when Ra says, like, the path of the adept is we must hold ourselves as both distorted and, amusing ourselves with all of the, you know, what interests us about being a third density human being and all of the distortions that come along with that, as well as we are still one with the creator. We never leave the creator. The paradox of that is what we play with in third density. And I've always kind of like translated the first step of the adept path of know yourself is like, okay, well, take an account. Take an account of your distortions, take an account of your biases, take an account at the end of the day of like, how did you how was it for you? Just take an account of like what is the personality in its current state. The discipline of the personality is to try to conform the personality, which wants to believe that it's not one, to the actual reality that it is one. That's the discipline. And so for me, like it's helpful to approach the teaching that Ra gives about the adept path with beginning with a sort of like more fundamental or rudimentary or sort of like accessible invitation to just take account. You don't need to know you're the creator. You don't need to like know yourself as the creator as the first step because otherwise you're disqualified from the rest of the work. So that is just what I wanted to share as my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to comment on that, West?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, first I just want to say, but yeah, also thank you. And thank you for being willing to disagree with us. And yeah, definitely I don't I'm not presumptuous enough to say this is what raw means. Like I'm not saying I'm correct, but this is, what we basically presented is what makes sense to me. And I think just to kind of mm, back up a little bit and speak to know yourself again from my perspective. To me, the way that I feel, sense, know yourself is different than know myself as the creator. And a really simple, I think, pointing, teaching is like when I allow my mind to be still, completely still, like everything is kind of removed from the mind. There is an aspect still of my experience that can't be removed. And that's the transparent, what's usually transparent, what's usually hidden. And I can know that, relatively simply if I'm able to, even just for a few moments, still the mind. There's still something there, that's aware. And, a somewhat rudimentary like investigation of that awareness can show it to be apparently unchanging, right? It's the same I that I was when I was 5 is, the same I, the same awareness. And there's no edge to it, like we can investigate the qualities of that awareness without the content of mind. So anyway, I don't know if that's helpful, but to me, it is distinct from, it is a distinct gesture from become the creator.
Mm-hmm. Is it okay if I comment on that?
Yeah.
I mean, I deeply appreciate what you're saying in terms of pointing to very simple, um, and accessible technique that we can use to apply to the adept path. But it's almost like I think that the technique that you're pointing to, it is applicable to all three like all three steps, we use that technique. But it isn't, I don't equate the technique with step one. Step one is sort of just like start where you are and just kind of start to know what that is, start to know what that state is, start to know what that place is. And the other thing I'll just say, and this is a little bit more scholarly or something, or not scholarly, but just drawing from Ra's teachings. I believe that they talk about the power of the creator, the intelligent energy that can be deployed uh, through our conscious will is simply a matter of how much we know that we're the creator. So if we 100% know that we're the creator, we can deploy 100% of the power of the creator. It's infinite. But if we don't know that we're the creator or we're somewhere in between, then our capacity to manifest, our capacity to create in the universe is going to be commensurate with how much we know that we're the creator. And so to me, like it points to a very clear distinction between step one and step three. Know yourself as the creator and becoming the creator are not the same thing. Like if knowing yourself as the creator was like the thing, we'd already be done. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm really not trying to be I'm not trying to be controversial or opposing to your teaching or your perspective. But yeah, I'm really trying to invite a sensibility that allows us each to arrive at a path, at the discipline of the personality, wherever we're at, like without, because it's a little bit lofty. Sometimes for me, it feels a little bit lofty to know myself, as the creator. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you feel complete with that, West?
Oh,
Or Aaron? Yeah.
I do.
Okay, good. Yeah. I have my hand up next. I want to say that, yeah, my first interpretation of know yourself was the same as what Aaron described. Get to know your personal self, and thereby, our consciousness is like an iceberg. 10% is above the surface that we are aware of, and then 90% is below the surface. And my interpretation was always to get to know all that stuff that is below the surface, and thereby we illuminate our subconscious minds, and that's a part of the process to become the creator. So that's kind of similar to what Aaron described. But when I said that in the beginning, I said that West is such a great teacher for me because she often sees things that I don't see. And this is one example of that. I had never thought of it in the way that West described. And I don't think necessarily that's the way I saw it. I used to see it, and the way Aaron described it doesn't have to be in opposition to what West said. I think they can complement each other. And so I love the way West described it because that gives me another perspective of it that I can work with, in a complementary fashion to how I used to see it before. So yeah, that's what makes West such a great teacher for me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So Carolyn Mills is next.
Hi, thank you. West and Lou, I'm so grateful for what you've brought to light today. And also those of the rest of you, Aaron, your comments. I, yes, I feel like there's been a lot that has been highlighted for me that I wasn't seeing exactly like this. To be honest, I've always been, yeah, lofty. That what you said, Aaron, that it feels like quite a lofty statement, and I haven't always known what to do with these three steps. But also, I am a person who I'm quite happy with paradox. I don't mind paradox at all. The paradox of both these ways of looking at that first statement, know yourself. And also it brings to mind, I have I have I had a long relationship with 12-step programs, which for me was such a fantastic stepping stone, I guess, in my experience, a stepping stone towards finding the law of one. And so if any of you are familiar with the 12 steps, one of the steps, the step 4, is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And this is exactly like that, taking account. And I feel like that has been a really important part of my personal journey, to be honest, to take stock, to face things behaviors that I've done, attitudes that I've had, but not in a judgmental way, because I, through that process, even within, the 12-step perspective, but also here, it's the whole thing exists in a container of the Creator's perfect and infinite love, without which I would not be brave enough to try to know myself, um, or any of the rest of it. So I feel like the fact that we have that container of knowing that this is a loving universe, um, is really vital. And I also am thinking forward in one of the later sessions of the Raw material, where Ra says, we are not messengers of the complex. And for me, that's quite a comfort that I don't have to be super analytical by nature, because I'm kind of not. Um, yeah, I just really, really appreciate everything I've heard today, and I've taken quite a lot of notes, and thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Yeah, thank you, Carolyn. I think Lou wants to respond to that.
Yeah, it's really enjoying all the comments. I wanted to also like add my own comment around knowing yourself, and kind of going back to my personal reflection in the beginning. I think one of the reasons why the quote excites me so much is because of the range of valid interpretation of know yourself, in my opinion, on like kind of the scale of the individualized self and as a creator. And before West approached me for the presentation, I also, I think I was studying a lot of yoga, think like reading, philosophy around that, you are the self, you are the creator, and that direct path. And I had a lot of resistance to it, because to me, know yourself is like, just know Lou, know the human of Lou. And then, I had like I've come to have a non-linear relationship with know yourself, accept yourself, become the creator. I kind of feel like I'm delving into the three, in different ways and in different depths and in different orders, depending on what's going on in my life and where I'm in my frequency. And I think the experience I had, I had an experience with mushrooms where it was clear to me that there was a creator and that I was very intimately linked with that creator. And then it wasn't all of a sudden like, oh, now I'm the creator. Then came like the work of like accepting all the parts of myself that are not in alignment with the most like harmonious expression of the creator. And that's something that is happening to me in a spiraling fashion, where I can have maybe an experience in meditation where I'm totally out I'm just in vast infinite space in meditation, or having an experience with a clear experience with the divine, or just having the recognition of being in the flow state, and then all of a sudden having a catalyst knock on the door where I'm just kind of like on my knees as a Lou, praying up to the creator. So I think there's very much like this in our dualistic experience in 3D. And I personally have come to feel that there's this infinite range of kind of relationship to the quote, depending on the individuals and the energetic configuration of the individual, in my opinion.
100%, 100%. Thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lou. Since nobody else has their hand up, I just want to say a couple of the quotes that I really liked was the very short and simple one by Saint Francis of Assisi, where he said, "What we are looking for is where we are looking from." To me, that's almost like a koan, because it makes your mind sort of fold in on itself. That's what happened to me when I heard that and read that. It's like it just makes your mind and consciousness fold in on itself. So you all know what a koan is. It's what they use in Zen Buddhism as a tool to transcend the conscious mind, basically. But I'm going to read it here. A koan is a paradoxical anecdote, riddle, or statement used in Zen Buddhism to provoke deep contemplation and bypass rational thinking to achieve enlightenment. So that's kind of what I experienced when I heard that quote. Another one was in a quote from Rumi. He said, "You are the entire ocean in a drop." And that kind of reminded me of one of my favorite quotes from Khalil Gibran about the river. You know, the end, it's a longer quote, but at the end he says, "The river fears entering the ocean until it realizes that it is not about disappearing in the ocean, but about becoming the ocean." So that's kind of similar to what Rumi said. You are the entire ocean in a drop.
Yeah, thanks, Kent.
Any other comments, questions?
Caroline.
Yeah, Caroline.
Yeah. Sorry I was late. Life. Um, I enjoyed the presentation from when I hopped on, but I was thinking throughout the quotes and the feedback that I've been listening to me, and I boil this down in a real simple way, I suppose. Know thyself was just awakening to my true nature. It was to know that I am divine, that this linear 3D perspective of which I held for such a huge portion of this lifetime was all about my identity, my roles. I am this, I am that, I am not this, I'm not that. But knowing thyself, the first crack into the beautiful cosmos was to know that I am divine, was to know that I am part of the creator. And I see those three beautiful steps, so to speak, from Ra, know thyself, accept thyself, become the creator, as sort of a spiral. I will have moments where I know I'm divine, I feel I'm the creator, go back to accept myself. So it's never like obviously, as we know in this group, not a linear experience. It's like this, a cycle, and then I might go back and but that to me is the human experience as intended. But the beginning of this beautiful unfolding was knowing my true nature, that I am consciousness, that I am aware of this. And so that to me is the pearl of know thyself. From there, I can go delve into my shadow aspects and what makes Caroline tick and all those other things. But it has to be, for me, it had to start from I know who I really am. I'm not this personality living this small life, you know. So I've had moments, I've had a couple of moments that were really beautiful in terms of seeing myself as the creator. And just a real simple one. I remember going out to my car one day and this bumblebee was on my hood. And in this moment, I was the bee. I was the bee. The bee was me. And I remember just crying right there at my car on a parking lot. And it was just like, I want to go back to that moment of being the bee. but I felt I was all part of this beautiful, interwoven together cosmos. But knowing myself as the creator is knowing that I am divine and accepting myself as something that I feel is a calling in terms of purpose for this life. So they all work together to me sometimes as a three-legged stool, not necessarily a step, but they're all in place and I'm working them at different times so that I can be, the infinite, beautiful creator. So thank you so much for this presentation. And I did enjoy the quotes. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol.
West, do you want to respond? Thank you, Caroline. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really also benefiting from this conversation so much. Um, and yeah, the perspective, that keeps coming up of like what is know yourself? Which self are we talking about? Yeah, I appreciate the way that you were talking about it, Caroline, like how it's, we go through all the steps and we go up and we go down, and it's like there's not one or the other. And I feel like, sometimes people say, do we act ourselves into a new way of believing, or do we believe ourselves into a new way of acting? And to me, it's like, yes, we do both of those. Like which one is first? Yes, we do both. And so yeah, like I think the my premise of what the self is, and I'm getting a little echo. Um, is compatible and maybe simultaneous as the way, for instance, the way that Carolyn, you were saying, like take a fearless accounting. Like I think in order to take a fearless accounting, at least the way that I see it, um, there's a way that I have to know myself, the way that I was presenting it, that like if I'm still the small s self in a way, I'm not able to take a fearless accounting because the small s self is based in fear and like automatically has shadows and things that I will hide from myself because otherwise I will die. I will be obliterated. I won't be able to handle it, whatever. So yeah, in order to know, like sort of take that accounting, perhaps there's a way that it requires transcending the small self. Aaron.
Diana, you have your hand on your head. Was that you raising your hand? I saw earlier you had your hand on your head. You weren't raising your hand now. Okay.
I don't understand you, Ken. I don't know if that's just on my end. I don't know what you just said.
Okay. Can you all hear me? Okay. Diana
It's a
had
bit
her
garbled.
hand on her head earlier.
Oh,
That was
Diana, were you raising your
Diana.
hand? I think that's what he
Were you
said.
raising your hand? No. Okay. Okay, Aaron.
Yeah, so just was going to add a couple of things that were coming to me as this conversation was kind of continuing. Um, know yourself. How do you know yourself? You ask yourself the question, who am I? And, that's such central um, aspect of the practice of the direct path, what we know is the direct path. And so there's something that tickled me about the simplicity of that. How do I know myself? Again, it's kind of a complicated and paradoxical question. Know yourself. What do they mean, know yourself? Which self am I supposed to know? Um, okay, so how do I know myself? Well, ask myself, who am I? Ah, okay, I can do that. And then it's just like, it feels so relieving because there's so many teachers we have available to us that help us with that. Um, Helpful guidance and pointers to how we can do that. So anyway, I just wanted to share that little insight. How do I know myself? Well, just ask yourself, who am I? Okay, I can do that. And then the other thing I wanted to share, again, just from a little bit of maybe of a perspective to put on this whole, just the whole conversation. The discipline of the personality, as Ra teaches it, is the path of the adept. And the path of the adept is activity involving the indigo ray. So this is advanced work for third density, y'all. Like this is not necessarily like this is not like necessary work to graduate from third density. This is not necessary work to open the heart. This is quite further along than that, you know. So opening the heart is um, already something that we will anybody who's drawn to this call of disciplining the personality will already have been very quite interested in opening their heart, you know, as well as integrating the wisdom of all is one, you know, the wisdom of what is reality. And so, you know yourself, accept yourself, become the creator. The discipline of the personality is the path of the adept, which is sixth density work. It's sixth ray work, it's integrated work. So I'm just putting it out there for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder. We don't have to get this done tonight.
Yeah, right. I thought we were all going to be the creator at the end of the call.
Yeah, we were joking like money back guarantee. By the end of the call, you've all become the creator or your money back.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, any final takeaways or final closing thoughts? Hudson.
Hudson.
I just wanted to say
Hudson?
thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
say
we
thank
can
you
hear
so
you.
much. This has just been so important, I think, for all of us to look at these concepts and, you know, let them stretch our comprehension, and that also allowing the creativity to look from other people's angles and take some of this back and work on it in our own ways and different aspects. But I'm just really grateful. I know how important this is. And I think all these things that were brought up are fantastic, just so fantastic. I resonate a lot with remaining childlike and um, being creative in the aspects of which we look at ourselves. Remember, we have a personality shell. What does that entail? You know, the background feeling of ourselves beyond that you were explaining completely. I'm right there. And I love all these things. When I was younger, for me, I did small things I didn't even realize were in the vein of any of this, where I used to sit, because I loved looking at the sun, I would sit and try and imagine all that was to be the sun and all the things that it would touch and that it could possibly grow. And I think things like that come out of creativity, just like things like you're bringing up and this discussion allows so much more richness when we go back into our daily lives from here. So this work, all that this has been just so valuable. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank
Beautiful.
you too.
Thank you, Hudson.
Yeah, thank you all for engaging in a practice of, you know, sharing our ideas and practicing teach, learn, learn, teach. Thank you. I think that does it. How about we end with a moment of gratitude? Gratitude to our other self
Yeah.
for coming together in this way. Gratitude to our creator.
Gratitude to West and Lou for giving us a beautiful presentation, and for everyone participating, without which this would not have been the same, obviously.
Thank you, friends.
Thank you.
Yay.
Love you all.
Thank
Love
you
you.
very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.